Amendments 2, 3, 4 and 5 will be funded by switching the 100,000 allocated for grass cutting by the administration. In a time of feast, it might be a good idea to spend this money on grass cutting and get the mowers out, but it is verging on madness in a time of famine when frontline services and jobs are being cut. We oppose this proposal. Instead, we would allocate the money in the following ways. Amendment 2, £35,000 to provide a second full-time community worker and £15,000 for a part-time domestic violence worker, both of them in Tana and Easton Road. The challenges facing this area have been well documented and oft-quoted by the Conservative administration, and my colleagues will talk about this in more detail later. We believe that 2 full-time workers are needed to help the community meet these challenges. Even if this second post is secured, the community support and empowerment work that has proved so valuable will be reduced, and it will certainly be difficult for one worker with the minimum amount of central support promised to sustain the progress that has been made. The work of the part-time domestic violence worker has been particularly successful, and given the choice of preventing domestic violence or having smart grass verges, I think most people would opt for the former. It's a much better way of spending the modest sum of £15,000. Amendment 3 would allocate £25,000 to an additional noise patrol shift and increase the current number of shifts from 3 to 4. Nighttime noise, particularly from parties and the university's halls of residence, is a real headache for many people, not least in the party zones in the city centre wards. The noise patrols do a valiant job, but they work with limited resources. An extra shift will make a great deal of difference to those affected by this social blight. Under Amendment 4, we would allocate £20,000 to produce a travel plan for the Varndine campus, which is home to 6 schools with more than 5,000 pupils aged 4 to 19. The surrounding roads turn into a huge traffic jam twice a day, as we've seen at planning committee meetings. Each school is charged with producing its own travel plan at the moment, but it would make much more sense to produce a comprehensive plan for the whole area. Certainly, it would be welcomed by residents who constantly voice their concerns about the traffic problems that they face. Amendment 5 is the reinstatement of the cut in the HIV/AIDS supplies and services budget of £2,000, included in the health-led Section 75 proposals detailed in Appendix 7. 2007 saw a 16% increase in the number of Brighton Hove residents accessing NHS services for HIV/AIDS, a far higher increase than the national average. This is not the time to make any cuts in these services, especially when last year also saw the close of Open Door, and voluntary groups working in this area are already being squeezed by the recession. I also urge members to accept our proposals to adopt the Albert Kennedy Trust Quality Assurance Mark for the city's housing service to help improve services to young people from the LGBT community who are homeless or have other housing problems. The Trust Mark offers a model of best practice for working with young people from this community and would cost £3,000 to join and for the audit. For this modest amount of money, AKT will provide training sessions for housing staff and carry out an annual audit of the services offered to young people from the LGBT community with housing problems. Young service users, by the way, would be involved at every stage of the delivery of the work. Amendment 6. Under this amendment, we would allocate the £149,000 one-off resources from the Local Authority Business Growth Incentive Scheme grant to support and develop third sector groups who work with those with learning difficulties, physical disabilities and older people who need help to organise their care needs through the government's direct payments and self-directed support initiative. The money will be spent over the next 2 years. The administration has allocated this money to help local businesses in the recession and support community work, but we now know that we will receive another £414,000 in an additional LABGI money, and we believe that should be used in those areas and to support the ideas that were put forward by the Labour Party. That being the case, we believe there is a strong argument for spending the £149,000 during the next 2 years to support the wider introduction of self-directed support. Funded and supported properly, self-directed care can change the lives of vulnerable people for the better, as the national pilot project and the good work done in this city has shown. However, we are fearful that funding will not follow the proposals. Many clients will not be able to negotiate self-direct support alone, and could suffer, and this is a fear I know is shared among members in other parties in this chamber. In our proposals, this money would be used to support and develop groups like the Federation of Disabled People, who provide a full range of services to those on self-directed support programmes. These are the Green Party's 6 amendments to the administration's budget. I recommend them to members. We believe they can make a great difference in our city, in particular by reducing the carbon footprint and protecting services for vulnerable people. Thank you.